my esteemed colleague Michael. So Michael's one of the founding members of Nunda Co-op. I don't know, you probably don't know about us. We're a social enterprise based in Nunda, Brisbane. So social enterprises are essentially organisations with a social purpose or benefit, but which receive the majority of their income from trading activities. So in our case, we have a cafe which has provided your lunch, and some other businesses. So we're going to go through and tell you our story of social enterprise, and feel free to stop us and ask us questions. And we're not shy. So Michael's got the clicker. Here we go. So here's the co-op. Well, we've also won some awards over the years. So this little group of people have been finalists and winners of the best social enterprise in Australia. So we'll keep clicking through. And there's our sort of raison d'etre. And we flip the usual business model on its head in that we don't employ people to work in our businesses. We make our businesses work to employ people. So our fundamental focus is creating employment for people with a disability or mental health issue. So that's our fundamental focus. And the co-op was started by people like Craig there. Michael's also another founding member. So Craig, so people like Craig were going through that sort of endless cycle of job placements without actually any sort of outcome. So that sort of churn of going to the job agency, getting a placement, but then losing the job. And for some people that was happening 20, 30, 40 times. A group of community workers and volunteers met with that group and said, why don't you try and create something yourselves to generate your own employment? So they formed one of Australia's first social enterprises 20 years ago. And now we have 3 businesses. So we've got the parks and mowing crew. We've got Espresso Train, Cafe and Catering, which has provided your lunch. And we also do some consultancy and training ourselves on how you might start a social enterprise yourself. So the parks crew, which Michael was working in this morning, I might pass over to you to describe the parks crew, Michael.
Well, the parks crew for me is a good thing to catch up with mates and to keep the place really clean. And without this job, I basically would be struggling with a lot of mental illness and a lot of things in my life. But for having this job for so long, it's given me the money I need and their independence and to be able to keep working and to work so long has been great, and I hope to keep working in the future.
Good on you, man. So that little co-op just started as a little jobs club, and then we went to people like Brisbane City Council, Department of Transport and Main Roads, and basically put in tenders to get work. And they were keen to work with us, so we negotiated with them. And this little co-op probably started what is now termed social procurement. So a lot of corporates and governments are doing it, where they provide either weightings in their procurement to create opportunities for groups like us, or even sort of single select tenders with groups like us. And there you see, you're not there, but you were doing that job this morning.
Yeah.
People out in the village in Nunda, so we clean the streetscape for council, and we do the same job other contractors are required to do. And here's some of the team winning a Spot the Suburbs award for their work. Here's a bit of an overview of the cafe, where you also work. So I might give you, you can explain the cafe for us.
Well, in the cafe we make cakes and sandwiches for catering, and we have a really good chef named Steve that does a really good job with the food. Working there in the cafe is another good thing. We get pretty busy on a Sunday, and we get as much work for the people who just can't find work anywhere else and have been there for a long time, and like me, and just have a good boss that understands you and to talk to if anything goes wrong. We can always talk to your work and your boss and work things out, so it makes it easy for you to concentrate on the job and keep the job going.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Nick. So you described that really well, yeah. So there's a chef, there's probably 10 members with who might identify as having a disability. We're next to the train station if you ever want to pop down. As Michael said, we're open Sunday. There's a nice farmers market there.
And help me with my mental illness too, to keep focused and having people around you as well.
And then this is something new that we've done. So we've had a bit of experience setting up our own businesses, and we didn't know one end of a business, you know, from you know, we didn't know what to do, how to start a business when we started the co-op. Now we know a fair bit about it, so we've been supporting other communities to achieve what we've achieved. So there's members there of the Brisbane Bhutanese community who are from a refugee background. They've been in refugee camps in Nepal as stateless people for about 20 years. And they came and approached us and said, we're long-term unemployed, we want support to start up our own businesses. So we developed a training program. We talked to members like Michael who were keen to support these other communities, developed a training package, and now they have 2 community businesses, 5 people who now don't need to go to Centrelink anymore for their, they own and run their own mowing business called the Mountain Mowing Men. So that's the Bhutanese guys, and then some other successful community businesses run by community centres. I don't know if we need to go into all that detail. So that, yeah, there we go. Oh, you can go back one, Nick, if you want.
Go back again.
Yeah, back one. Yeah, that's. Sorry, forward one more. Sorry. Yeah, back there. Yeah, so this describes our framework. So our framework is really one of balancing people's participation in employment with production. So, and it's as you can see, it's a bit of a seesaw. So you're trying to keep it in balance. Sometimes it rocks a bit one way, sometimes it rocks a bit back the other. But you're maintaining balance if you're holding those 2 dimensions in tension. So that keeps us progressing forward. So because we're a social enterprise, we've got to make money. We've got to have money in the bank to pay people, and then also we want to have an organisation that engages our core members with disability in a way where they're fully engaged. So that's our framework. And sometimes we share this with people, where when you're building a community enterprise, you can often look at the, in terms of building up your business, all the sort of money that flows out of a community, and try and sort of plug the leaks. So we did that a little bit, in terms of generating our businesses. We're also a co-op. So a co-op is just another different form of organisation that's owned by its members. So we're a registered co-op in Queensland, and there's lots of different co-ops and mutuals around Australia. You probably keep going through there. There's some stuff specific to co-ops here. And so this is a bit of an overview of the benefit of NCC as a social enterprise. So, and I think I'll pass it back to you, Michael, in a second. But it gives people a valued role, meaningful use of time, improved personal finances, and a sense of ownership, a sense that this is our place, this is our business. And that's something that was missing from some of the employment sort of support models that had been around for people. So I'll pass back to you, mate, to maybe speak about some of the what some of the co-op members get out of having a job.
Well, I think a lot of the co-op members, for having a job, is they've got their independence, and that can be very hard to do when you're out on another job or in another job, and where bosses just don't care, they just want you to do the job, and some of them don't even employ those people with a disability because they think they can't do the job, which is really unfair, unfortunately. For us, it's a different story where we've got bosses that help us in all sorts of ways and gives us a job and money to save up for different things like holidays and all things like that. So yeah.
Keep going. Yeah. So sorry, that's it. That's actually it in terms of our presentation. So. So that's a plotted, quick sort of plotted overview of our social enterprise. We thank the Good Education Group for having us along today and having us back. We were here last year. This keeps us all in a job and keeps the wheels of the co-op turning. So thanks again, and we really hope you enjoy your lunch. And I'll just give a quick. We'll have a chance for questions, but just in terms of, I'm just going to move forward to lunch. So in terms of lunch, the dietary needs are right down this sort of end, so this far end, and there's vegan. There's all options for people: vegan, gluten-free, vegetarian, and then the sort of non-dietary items. Omnivores are sort of down this end. So you've got options. Yeah. So everyone should have an option. Yeah, okay. So do we have any questions of either Michael or I? We're really happy we're not afraid to answer questions. Yeah.
Can we get a copy of this?
Yeah, we can just share that with people, that's fine. It's a little bit, we went up and gave a talk in Cairns recently, so it's a little bit on co-ops and it's a little bit co-op centric, but it's, that's, so there's some of the slides I skipped through were more about cooperatives, but yeah.
Anybody else? Yeah.
How does someone become a member of the co-op?
You've got to join. You've got to apply to join. You need to be an active member, and there also needs to be a job there for you. So yeah, so people can come and usually approach me. Yeah.
How do you actually get funding to start this up?
Yeah, we're about 80% self-funded, and we chose the social enterprise model really because there was no other funding around. But we'll probably have a mix of, so there's a bit of philanthropy. There will be probably a little bit of NDIS funding that we think we'll be able to access, although that hasn't happened yet. And then there's a sort of range of community supporters and networks that have really give us in-kind support, so office space and rental of spaces, and then probably 80% is things like contracts and the food we sell and whatnot. So yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah.
Yes, sorry. Yeah.
Is there any scope for high school students to do work experience at your locations?
There is. We're pretty often oversubscribed. Yeah. But there are. If you look, they have a website, Queensland Social Enterprise Council. So we're one of a number of social enterprises. There's hundreds in Queensland, and they all have different focus areas. Often they're employment focused, so based on particular needs groups. So it might be people from refugee backgrounds, young people, and they all have opportunities as well. Yeah.
There's no
That's
more
great.
questions.
Yeah. Sorry, there was someone. No, that's all right. Okay, great.
I just want to thank Richard and Michael again for preparing the food and coming down here.